The Type Folio is a new add-on product from the reMarkable paper tablet lineup. And to be honest, I've been using it for 30 days and I wanted to give my thoughts on where I see this as a product that is an add-on experience to really go in the future of the reMarkable journey. Hello folks, my name is Francesco D'Alessio. I'm very excited to dive into reMarkable, the Type Folio today. And we've covered the reMarkable a couple of times here on the channel, as well as a Kindle Scribe. So if you are interested in checking that side of stuff out, feel free to, I'll put the links in the description below. But we're going to be talking as a collective product review. We're going to be talking about design, software, and then we're going to overview practicalities and day-to-day use, and finish off with a few thoughts and opinions about how I think it's going to potentially change the space for reMarkable. So let's start off with the design. The Type Folio is actually really nice to hold and touch. Surprisingly, one of the initial things I thought was the actual case was going to be considerably heavier than what you have with either the leatherette version or the folio that you get when you purchase a reMarkable as an add-on. And actually, it surprisingly wasn't. The actual unit clicks on in the same fashion, and the keyboard is so well hidden away that I was surprised at how well they did this. And to be honest, it adds a few, maybe it feels like a pound, but it really doesn't make the device heavier much more than you would think. And it's definitely a credit to the design team, because the design itself is really nice. One thing that in particular that I liked was the material. I really like the leather casings. The black and the brown one are really nice, but if you get those, I always found that they get like sort of scratched up, water stains, and sort of feel a bit sort of fingerprinty despite being leather. But actually, this new Type Folio, it has almost like a plasticky but leathery feel. I think it might be even vegan leather or something like that. But to be honest, aside of all of that, it feels really nice and it's quite practical. What I mean by this is spills or maybe even just getting dirt on it, it feels more durable, more wipeable than the previous versions. One thing I did find with it is some slight degrading of it in the corners. And actually this was something that a lot of people pointed out in the Type Folio first shipment, is they found that there were some breakages on the side, but apparently reMarkable have addressed this. I'll be coming back to that near the end of this video. But overall, the design of this Type Folio is actually really nice, and it's so surprising that they can fit a keyboard inside of that. So moving on to software, the Type Folio is a strange one because it forces you to really use your reMarkable in a landscape format. Now, what I mean by this is if you're going to start using the Type Folio, you sort of have to really make all of your documents into landscape. And one of my biggest worries going into this was, what if I, which I do, already have a lot of my reMarkable pages, notebooks, etc. in portrait format? Well, the great thing is when you snap it into place, it actually automatically puts it in landscape for you. Even the lock screen, although slightly laggy sometimes, actually puts it automatically in that landscape format. So actually all of your documents turn into landscape and they don't feel like they're ruined in any way, which I thought they would be. That was my initial worry. Using the software and using the keyboard actually took some time to get used to. They say it's a full-size keyboard, but obviously that's really difficult to judge. It is a big keyboard compared to some of the other ones, but to be honest, it's slightly takes time to get used to. But to be fair, it's really low profile, the keys are really nice to touch, and it feels quite durable whilst being really clean in look. It's not too noisy, but I know people tend to like a little bit of noise in their keyboards. I don't get the whole hype of it. But at the same time, it gives you enough feedback to know that you're typing in the right places. Small things like pressing enter and the sort of exterior of the keyboard, the sort of escape button and those sort of corner buttons, find it difficult initially to get used to, but it actually works quite well. So overall, the keyboard is actually really nice to use, and there's actually two main profile settings that you can lie the Type Folio down on. You can have it sort of up front like an iPad and typing, but you can also lie it down, so if you're doing some sketching or maybe even just some more in a coffee shop looking down work, that sounds weird, looking down work, then it actually works quite well. I actually use this for 30 days. I'll give you some more advice on the practicalities of using it, which I'll talk more about that position and why it's actually quite useful. So in terms of the software, the surprise that I had was I originally thought that the actual pen and the typing would be a mess in terms of having to constantly switch between them. It wasn't. It actually was really helpful. The only thing I found was having to change heading sizes was a little bit painful, but to be honest, you can make bullet points. You can do that just by using the touch functions, and actually you got used to it quite fast. But it still feels like the software is not fully ready or optimized for the reMarkable paper tablet yet. But I feel like it's still early days for this experience. We looked at when the Kindle was released, they sort of just had a very minimalistic fashion, and apparently the updates they bring into the Kindle Scribe have considerably improved the general note-taking ability. So in terms of software, I was initially worried, but actually quite impressed near the end of this. And now let's move on to the practicalities of day-to-day use. So I have been using this for about 30 to 40 days now, and I pretty much use it as my main case. It's weird because it doesn't really affect how you use the reMarkable itself. So it hides in the background ready for activation. And I used it in a lot of different scenarios, on a plane, in a car, and in coffee shops as well. And I actually found that using it on your lap wasn't as bad as I thought, but it still was a little bit difficult. Because the case is smaller than a regular laptop, putting it on your laps makes it really difficult to be able to utilize. But actually putting it on a surface, it was fairly flat and fairly easy to use. I was finding being able to write physical notes in a coffee shop and being able to look down and move the positions, although a little bit fiddly to get used to this dropping down leaf, it actually was fairly easy to do. And I found that I was using type a lot more. It was weird. It's sort of like having a typewriter with you, and it really does unlock more opportunities for the actual unit itself. And the reason being is because the app obviously syncs with it in real time. You can now write on the app using your text. So it's really natural transition that's worked very well for reMarkable, because they're sort of bringing text to the reMarkable, which they weren't before. So I found actually I was using a lot of documents for this, and the actual writing experience was very focused, less distractions, and I was copying and pasting stuff into other apps just because I had that separation from the sort of screen that you typically get when you're trying to write. So actually, overall, the experience was really good. I actually wrote up the entire Bento methodology workflow on the plane, and I didn't really get much fatigue from this. I also was able to add any annotations and things that I could seek later. The syncing is, again, something that I find difficult with the reMarkable, because you sort of have to be connected to Wi-Fi to make it sync. But this is just because I was traveling at the time, and naturally it's something you always need to be making sure that you're syncing with the reMarkable to the reMarkable apps to make it really truly work. Other aspects of the practicality that I found was, it was weird because I wish that the pen would snap on the side of the unit now. This is something that they probably will add if there's another unit, but because you're now using landscape, it was weird reaching for the pen at the top. Very much a first world problem, but something that I noted. So here are my opinions on the Type Folio. To be honest, if you're looking at a folio or a leather folio that is part of your reMarkable 2 or reMarkable 1, actually I don't think it works with reMarkable 1, purchase, then this is almost like a no-brainer to upgrade to this, because it really does unlock a different part of your reMarkable in being able to write now. And this is a huge upgrade in comparison with what you've got already. You had a paper tablet, now you have a paper writing experience that you can actually write stuff on. So it sort of does give, it almost like a one purchase accesses two devices now. And especially when you're trying to, say, do an email and you want to send it on, this is something that's really, really helpful. So I think the reMarkable Type Folio initially did a great job of that. They failed to do good customer support again. Here's an example. When they had that shipment of issues, they also had a backlog, and they said to those customers that had ordered that it's going to be taking, I think it was like 6 to 8 weeks to ship that, when they already knew that they they should have prepared for this to some extent. I know there's a lot of shortages of stock issues and all that, but it definitely didn't feel good for a lot of customers that had bought it or even have the money in the bank at the reMarkable side, and obviously you've paid for it, but you're not getting it for 8 weeks. I think there was some rectification of the Connect plan and things like that, but of course, just a little bit of a pain point there. They have in the past had huge issues with the 100-day warranty, but I think they're catching up from what I've heard, at least in the Trustpilot reviews and some emails that I had. It seems to be that they seem to be catching up on it. And I did address the team on this, and they said that they are catching up to address the sort of demand that people are having for the reMarkable. So the Type Folio is probably worth it if you're looking to use it to write a lot. Like if you're somebody that writes a lot and you're considering this between, say, like a laptop or an iPad, and you want to have that distraction-free experience with the natural feel of paper, this is going to be nice for you. It's going to cost you a little bit money because obviously I think it's like $149 if you're on the Connect plan to get this, but it actually unlocks a lot more than you think on the reMarkable. And now they have this in place, I think it's going to open up much more in terms of software and function. I think that's definitely one thing that's heading towards the reMarkable, at least this year. I am impressed with this release. A little bit early days to say whether it's going to be a even more advancement than I thought, but initially I think it opens from one device to 2 devices, and it's pretty cool to see. So hopefully you found this review helpful, overview of design, software, practicalities, and my thoughts and opinions. Please do let me know if you have any questions from use in the comments below, and also check out any relevant links in the description. And of course, subscribe and like if you enjoyed this one. My name is Francesco Alessio, and welcome to Keep Productive. Do subscribe, and I'll see you in a future video. Cheerio, folks.